sorry. Anyway, sorry, got a little excited there. Yeah, so welcome to the Reload Elite Series. You're just tuning in. Peterbot Pollo got themselves a victory royale in game number 4 after missing game number 1. 138 points is where they ended after that VR. As we turn attention to the standings, they are going to jump up into the top 10. Now, currently, they're in 8th place, right? Don't freak out. We still got 4 more games to go. It's all good. But man, what a crazy clutch out of Pollo to suddenly just say, hey, Peterbot, let's go. High gear, we're moving. Crazy stuff. Also, so many other things happened in the game. So many duos we need to highlight as well. Noisy is going crazy here, man. I don't know what the heck happened, but we started game number 1 in 2nd place. That was the first game we had. And now in game number 4, yet another 2nd place. We've come so close to getting the victory royale. And you know, they're like, yeah, the victory royale, of course, it's awesome. It feels great. And it just kind of gives you like a big boost to your energy and morale. But 2nd place is still so many points.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You guys are obviously doing fine, finding themselves in 6th place on the leaderboard. Still a lot of work to be done as it currently stands. Like, that qualifying spot is at 191 points, and these guys are at 148 points. So, like I said, definitely still some work to be done. But in terms of kind of like the names that we're seeing make it to the end game right now, a lot of unsuspecting duos kind of finding themselves towards the top. So this is kind of great to see.
Yeah, and another duo I want to mention is Booga Braid staying consistent there on the leaderboard. And it goes to show consistency is key in this type of meta, because with how hard it is to get to those placement points, if you can get there consistently, you're going to keep climbing up, staying on top, and that is exactly what Booga and Braids are doing, playing textbook Fortnite Reload, Zeke.
And you know what's tough about that, Blake, is we saw the little crowns, right? Josh and Yamzo, Muzz and Sphinx, they've already got themselves a qualifying spot. Booga in 5th place with 159 is not fighting dead. He's fighting Acorn and Bolt in 2nd place, 191. So Viv, we've got 4 games, man. Like, yes, it's great to make sure we've got these qualified teams close by to make sure those spots roll down, but Acorn and Bolt, they're still a ways ahead of us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you want to talk about a ways ahead of us, obviously Enough and Salt have played absolutely crazy over the first, 3 games. That 4th game right there, 0 points. They got 19th with 0 elim, so they got to pick it back up here, game 5.
There's so many things developed, but I'm getting bored. We've got to go to game number 5. The action continues, so we ride back on the battle bus. Casters, take it away.
This is what happens when you get comfortable. The points start to get really close. If you're Braids and Booga, you're pretty excited because your only competition is Acorn, Bolt, Salt, and Enough right now. And they're not that far, right, Jacob? Because they managed to remain relatively consistent here. So as we jump into game 5, we'll see how it goes.
It's the 2nd half of the entire tournament, and honestly, you want to try to build as much of a cushion as possible as we instantly see Northern Visuals both going down. Not sure if Rapid picking up both of those, but that's a team right there with Cold and Rapid. They don't even necessarily need a top spot today. It's more of a want than anything else, and they're just kind of disrupting the flow of games. At the top side of the map, Muzz versus Agers again. Muzz is going to win that fight. Everybody taking a different approach as Rapid goes down, cleaning up Muzz. Nobody even has a second to celebrate getting an elimination because another one happened shortly after.
And for a second there, I thought they got the full finish, but no, I still see 20 duos top left, so it's all good. Folks have survived. For what it's worth, though, Rapid and Cold earned themselves some nice little points here. They've done a good job getting early eliminations, but it's that end game stretch. It's the push for the placement points, which is very difficult. I'm talking about that. Of course, Peterbot and Pollo are looking at the drawing board right here, figuring out, hey, what can we do to go ahead and kill the momentum of the young dogs on top? But hey, look, they're playing good for good reason. Peterbot here at 3 HP right now. He's going to need Pollo's assistance here shortly. Enough does enough to find his elimination there, and hey, that's all you need right there. Talk about a confidence boost.
It's almost that feeling of deja vu if you think about the last qualifier where Aoxy and Jojo Fishy were in a very, very similar situation. Everybody knew they had the potential to qualify, but they didn't necessarily think it would actually happen. And as they were at the top side of the leaderboard, more and more teams began to land on them, try to take them out in an attempt for them to try to qualify instead. Peterbot and Pollo tried to do that here, but basically gave them one more point, another elimination, bringing their lead over Acorn and Bolts to 2.
Yeah, definitely. They need those points too, right? Like, you know, you talk about that 19th basically placement point game they got before that. 13 minutes time alive means that they survived for quite some time and didn't really earn anything. Dozier and V Tyler, nice little job right there. They're gonna find Higgs in the full finish there too, so that's a quick couple points, throwing them up into the conversation, keeping them very much relevant. And you know, you look at these points and realistically, everyone's still very much in the tournament right now, right? Like, if you're Acorn and Bolts, you have to play pretty much perfect from here on out. If you're salted enough, I mean, the question remains the same. You really don't have room to drop the ball. You have a game cushion now from the rest of the lobby, where before Enough and Salt had about a 2-game lead. So it really is getting very, very close now. Look at this. Pollo comes back, getting it back for the teammate there in revenge style. That's going to set them off a little bit.
Yep. Essentially picking up where he left off. I was tuning in threats and visuals. They're inside of the top 10 right now. They're inside of it. Enough going down. I'm not sure if that was a knock. Okay, all 20 teams still up. So again, just game put on the spin cycle. But again, threats and visuals, they've had a decent day. They have a 5th, an 8th, a 15th, which really kind of slowed down their entire momentum. And then in that last game, they did a 4th place as well. They started to pick up the pace with 5 eliminations in that last game, but they're roughly, I think, 70 or so points down. So they cannot necessarily hope and pray. It seems like Enough saw Acorn and Bolts go down early as Enough fresh off the reboot. They are literally just hunting them down. I think this is one of the first times Enough and Salt, you know, at the top side of the leaderboard, are feeling what some of our other competitors have felt in the past.
By the way, that's the 3rd time they've gotten them there. When we jumped away, Peterbot found him shortly before that, so they're just training him for points right now. That's 3 now for this duo here. And he comes back in, and look at this, it's like a ping pong factor, right? Peterbot's already there to pick him up because he's kind of by that side of the safe zone. And what can you do? You just don't have enough arsenal to fight someone like Peterbot who's fully geared up here.
Yeah, the best chance if this keeps happening is for Enough to just make it into one of the later zones where he gets one of those loadouts where he just doesn't fall back in with an AR, nothing else. He needs something to fight back, because having both Peterbot and Pollo just kind of push you time and time again when you're out the reboot, not even really giving you a chance to touch the ground, has to be very, very frustrating. You can see on the other side, Acorn maybe getting a little bit too aggressive, over peaks, trade shots with Mason, but he takes the lion's share of that damage. Even though Bolts does clean up that elimination, they still have to watch out for Muzz and Sphinx, who are nearby.
Yeah, Muzz is coming in pretty quickly here. Acorn hasn't quite found a way to get his shield up just yet. He doesn't want to use his full berry fizz by any means. That's an end game kind of item to save there. Oh, there it is. They have pizzas kind of waiting for them here. Seems like Muzz didn't quite find where the team was, so he's just lurking, watching nearby. Here comes Sphinx. Well, they might actually push this for the full even. Let's see.
Yeah, typically these teams, or at least what we've seen so far, they do like to split this drop. One of the main things they do fight over, though, is the launch pad where Acorn and Bolts are heading to on the backside of Elite Armory. But with only 1 elimination so far, that Bolts just quickly cleaned up. We know there's so much action going down. Have we seen this before? As Pollo and Peterbot are just taking turns. He's had enough. We get it.
Yeah, definitely just going back to back on it. That's the 4th one. Here's Cold, here's Acorn. Now we get to see Bolt's perspective. All the big dogs earning good points. And for Peterbot and Pollo, the crazy part is they're making a comeback for themselves right now. Look at this. 153 points now, 5 eliminations, all off the back of a singular player, by the way. And that's what we saw kind of, again, in that week 1, week 2, where Cold and Rapid did that to another team. So Peterbot and Pollo just given this kind of luxury of farm here, right? They've been blessed to just find this player and keep tagging them over and over, but let's see what they get from drop. Little launch pad work with here.
Yep.
Nothing too crazy.
What?
Meanwhile, Josh Niam's on the other side. Find Boji. It's a nice little first evening for them.
That's a team right there with Cold and Rain. Josh Niam's a little quiet, but still sitting in third place on the leaderboard. They do have a win already. 17 eliminations throughout the tournament so far, plus whatever they've gotten in this game. And they're not a team that is necessarily first to the zone. They do play towards the outskirts a lot. They're okay sacrificing that damage because they know where the main machine is at. They do accumulate a ton of
I swear they've all
deals, so
created
they're
a
not
gentleman's
quick
agreement where
fast
this is the P1 they all
since
land
we're in
at,
the
and
fourth
whoever
zone
gets the
going
most
into the
kills
fifth.
gets
They know
them.
reboots are going to turn off soon.
Yeah.
So they don't want to make any drastic decisions
Yep.
too early.
Feel like that.
Yeah, but they haven't earned any points, you know. I would have liked to see Booga and Braze take a little bit more risk in the early game, especially given that they're so close to closing the gap. And 40 points is a long way, right? From where they're
Game
at
far.
to
Yeah.
first and second, essentially. And
Game
if you're
state
not
Booga
taking the
need
risk, you're
to,
basically
yeah,
hoping that they make a mistake. And I'm not
something
sure that's
out.
the best strategy with 4 games left.
One more
Just hoping
game
for
and play the
perfection.
safe
We
and
know Fortnite
the
sometimes
fun
things
of the
just don't go
game.
according to plan. It's
You
all
need
about
to
how
kill
you handle
people,
those
kill
situations.
some
Speed
people.
about- For a moment, looking for Salt down below, but probably not wanting to chase. You see, he doesn't have a lot of white heals. He does have the pizzas, but as Blake and Vivid broke down, it doesn't grant you a ton of HP, just 5 per slice. So a full box monster only grants you 40 HP, which is not enough for Peterbot in that situation.
Definitely not going to be enough there, but take a look at this. Curve and Higgs on the other side, just out of the hostile hold here. Seems like they're just wrapping up a couple fights, though. They have 5 elims right now, so tracing or pacing really well in this tournament here. It's a good game for them. Chimp and 20 have managed to fight their way out of their somewhat of a bad start here. Chimp at 18 builds right now. Really hasn't quite caught his footing just yet. Seems like he knows Curve and Higgs are nearby. He's just trying to play it safe here. Doesn't want to expose himself. Curve and Higgs already pretty much are on fire right now. They're going to be more than happy to take this fight as they have the loot to really back it up here.
Yeah, especially since Chimp tried to go for a cheeky opportunity. Missed the shot. Allowing for Curve and Higgs to spot him out. Now he's just stuck back up against the wall. 1v2. They immediately attack from both sides to clean up that elimination, which leaves 20 with no choice, and rightfully so. Tries to use the shockwave to disengage. Luckily for him, Chimp isn't going to reboot right above. He's going to go closer towards inside of the zone. And if he wants to find his way back, that's up to him. But you can already see by the loadout that 20 has, he himself was rebooted at one point or another. That Morphyte SMG that he has in his loadout is a huge giveaway.
Yeah, both players just not quite catching a break here. Can't really find a moment to break out. Curve and Higgs now do have to be careful. There's other teams rotating pretty quickly on by. They'll catch whiff. There's some fights happening here below. But for now, things kind of settle. They go up and over. 20 falls to this. Did he fall to the storm there? What just happened?
Yep. He just had no HP, nothing in his loadout to try to go ahead and recuperate. And he didn't want to try to like jump away because he was hoping and praying maybe I go down, I can survive later on. But nope, it's going to be a huge giveaway and another elimination for Higgs and Curve. They don't necessarily need the loot. They just need the momentum to continue to shift in their favor. 20, you can see where he's rebooted back into the map. Into the whole lobby essentially here is Peterbot going down to the feed. For 20, he does have a little bit of that loadout. It's not going to be just an AR, but he definitely does not spawn with a shotgun in his inventory.
You think about this duo right here. Dozier, V Tyler, already 2 elims right now. Kind of playing like pretty decent so far, but look at this feed. Hold up. Bird actually finds Peterbot, so something's going on somewhere. There's still 20 teams standing, by the way, so no one fully eliminated just yet.
It's just
Where's
unfortunate.
Peterbot's reboot?
Yeah, this is one of the worst times to go down in a game. Literally less than a minute left. Reboots will turn off. And even though Pollo's right there, he does have some build material. They don't have 2 loadouts, so Peterbot's going to have to scrap together to try to find something that he can find useful. And if he could just get himself any variation of the shotgun, the tac, the sentinel, the gatekeeper, I won't be too worried for them as a team because you know they can get into boxes and end fights quickly.
Take a look at Peterbot using the couple splashes he had there. There goes the material split. So really telling that although Peterbot repositioned under this bridge, it wasn't because he had some kind of you know, elimination or refresh here waiting. No, he had nothing to work with. So the full split there, just try to keep him in. Muzz Sphinx on the other side here, playing for the early rotate, trying to position up. Gonna get some quick dibs here shortly. Just a single shockwave though, so this is like not the greatest loadout here for endgame, but it'll be more than enough for them to make a few rotates.
Yeah, you can kind of see they're trying to go under the bridge to make the shockwave actually matters. Peterbot was actually able to get the down onto Agers, and this is after reboots have turned off, so they're actually able to solidify that elimination. That'll leave Ritual by himself, and which is big because we literally saw Peterbot go down less than a minute before reboots turned off, but because it was so late, he did spawn with that assault rifle, with the blue tack, minis, and 2 splashes, which he instantly used.
This is crazy. They try to inch their way to get that loot, but you can see that AJ's already back up and in the game, so they actually didn't get to quite fulfill the full elim nor get the refresh, it seems like. Muzz and Sphinx on the other side opting to play the water on the low ground. This is an interesting strategy right here. We'll see if it ends up benefiting them in the end. For now, the assault falls. This is really bad for first place. Pressure starting to add up onto them. It's all going to come down to enough now because reboots are officially turning off here.
Yeah, back-to-back games, disaster strikes. Game 4, 19th place, 0 eliminations, and now there's 19 teams left, and enough is feeling the pressure as a solo. Doesn't start to get placement points, at least into the top 15, then it kind of cascades from there. But this is where you see the different elevation changes. Depending on where the zone goes, this is going to hurt a lot of teams down below. And yes, it does go from that open water up the side of that mountain over towards another small pond.
This is really tough too. Look at his loadout. He's only got 39 builds. Almost playing off of a rebooted loadout like we talked about. You see all those greens. It's kind of telling of it, but Flowberry Phase Crash Pad is definitely some ample rotate material here to work with. Let's see if it ends up playing out. Peterbot and Boy are going to be the first to go all the way up. Queasy and Scare coming in right behind them. It's usually the last player that ends up finding their way to the high ground spots. Yamzo and Josh here eyeing things up too. They also have a Flowberry Fizz and a launch pad to work with, but I Am Enough needs a refresh.
Wow.
No, he falls too early. Doesn't even earn any more points in the first elimination. We saw them secure, and this is going to open up
That's
the runway
Fortnite
now
for you.
Braids
You can go
and
part to
Booga,
part
for
and
Acorn
picking
Bolts, for
the not to
Peterbot and Boyo
thing.
and everyone else here to just run their way up the
Did
standings
nothing.
now.
Yeah, that's why I said, you know, being in first place,
Open
top of the
the
leaderboard,
pot,
first
Pope.
half sometimes just puts a target on your back, and back-to-back
Buddha.
games just haven't been the best. But just like you said, opportunity has just opened up for everybody else below them on that leaderboard. But Peterbot stuck by himself. 7 eliminations for the team, but you can see they weren't really able to kind of capitalize that into staying alive together as a duo. But Peterbot just making sure to stay away from that low layer, only attacking when he has to, trying to cut off the path of Higgs and Curve. He's even getting daring, dropping off, trying to pre-piece the whole other side to catch him off guard.
That's what he does, you know, just posturing up right now on these teams here. Little do they know it's just one guy. Meanwhile, looking to the high ground, Queasy and Scare, a little nervous to fully commit to the high ground positioning and kind of show that they're ready for it, but here Queasy goes for it. Now recognizing there's no one here to give them any type of resistance, Queasy goes for the full ramp out. And this is a solid base here. Can they hold it this time though, is the real question.
Yeah, but this is an opportunity where I want to see maybe Booga and Braids try to go for it. We see the zone moving towards the southeastern part. Over open water again. You better be prepared as Acorn Bolts trying to reunite in the same box, but it doesn't come without a fight. They're momentarily separated, but within that split second, they do find a way back together. They have a good amount of builds. If you look at their loadout, they are stacked up, and even using the Shockwave in the box for that little bit of speed boost, knowing that we cannot Shockwave. That'll put us in open territory, even inside of the zone. So I'm not sure anybody's realistically in a position as of now to contest Queasy and Scare.
Now, Booga and Braids are still in it though. Already earning themselves a quick point there. Now teams are starting to fall left and right here. Acorn finds another elimination there too. Cold and Curve still in this game as well. So big boy names still in the mix here. Peterbot at the ultimate low. He's going to be forced to come up and over to fight his way towards the road here. This is such an unforgiving zone right now as the terrain changes are crazy. But Muzz and Sphinx getting a little greedy to try to secure the elimination, and they fall before getting the points and actually allow for Rapid to possibly get picked up here. We'll see. But back on over to Peterbot, who's basically clawing his way out of the grave right now. And this is going to be a really tough one, but look who's climbing their way up. Look who's taking advantage of everyone else's issues. It's Yamzu, it's Josh.
Yeah, and right now they're almost untouched. Down below, Higgs and Curve set another trap, taking out Ager's Ritual, separating them, sending them out of this lobby. Peterbot's finally going to fall. That's Northern who gets credit for that elimination, solo on solo action. But while everything settles down below, Acorn and Bolts using this as an opportunity to look up. Queasy Scare, they get chopped down once, but the Flowberry Fizz is going to negate any fall damage possibility. And now they're looking to see who is trying to contest them. They spotted out Acorn and Bolts down below when they reclaimed their throne up above.
Gotta say, I respect the ability to try to target height right now, but Curve and Higgs are at 14 eliminations. Talk about a heater right now as they are propelling themselves way on up.
What?
Acorn and Bolts are still in the game as well. I was curious, did we have anyone inside the top
Dang,
still there?
14.
And they are still putting up
Another
pressure.
one.
Iamjo and Joss are the real upsetters here. They find Scare, they find Queasy, and end up demolishing them. And now we have a 2v2v1 situation going down here.
Yeah, that's the second time today we've seen Yamzo and Josh do just that. Wait for two teams to be distracted up above, and that's where they immediately send it with the Fizz Shockwave combination. Down below, Higgs and Curve, they cleared out all the competition up until now. The fight has come to them. Higgs is going to go down. Curve by himself, boxes up Yamzo, gets the knock, waiting for the siphon.
No,
the medkits as a just in case. 1v1 against Josh. He gets that elimination as well, but it's not over just yet. We might have forgot about him. Acorn and Bolts finally drop down from above. 4
Nice game,
eliminations.
Acorn.
We have to know, with
Nice
second
win.
place coming into this game, with a win here, they have stolen away first, but they want the cherry on top. They want the actual victory royale. They're pressuring Curve back further and further, but Curve is fighting back, tries to land a shot of his own, but it's not enough. Acorn and Bolts win the game and boost themselves up that leaderboard.
Yeah, they're definitely in first now. Salt and Enough have a lot to think about as they get put into the blender with the rest of the competition. But an 18 elimination game for Curve there. You have to respect it either way. That was an explosive game number 5 there, Zeke.
Yes. We have to talk about Acorn and Bolts there. As much as I want to talk about Curve and Higgs, we'll do that later. Man, this is big for Acorn and Bolts, right? They are still trying to secure themselves a spot on the battle bus. And now we are making sure, right? We had another game of enough insult. They didn't quite get enough points. Now Acorn and Bolts are like, hey, they've slipped up. They've made a single mistake. It's time to put the gas and go, man. I cannot believe it. Acorn and Bolts get a VR in game number 5. Viv, I feel like one even decent game and they qual, right? Like, this is looking so good for them.
I mean, Acorn and Bolts seemingly in full control right now. We kept kind of talking about how consistent they've been playing just in terms of the eliminations over the course of some of their games throughout the day. But with that first place, it's going to be their best placement so far in the competition over the course of these 5 games. And, you know, me and Blake were kind of talking about it. Yeah, Acorn and Bolts have kind of joined the mix in terms of like the high ground teams, but they haven't really been committal to any of those attempts. And finally, we do see them fully commit here. They take out Queasy and Scare in their attempt. They kind of land themselves up on the high ground. And after that, Blake, these guys are way too good. It was easy from there on out.
Yeah, they were due for a win with how consistent they've been playing. So seeing them finally get that VR, it's got to feel refreshing for them. They got to know they are close to the threshold that they need to qualify for the EWC. There's only 3 games left. It's going to be very interesting to see if they can close this one out.
You know, it's crazy. Over in EU, 6th place, which was basically their top 3, right, was 264. We just hit 266, and we have 3 more games to go. Ooh, Acorn and Bolts! Okay, obviously, you saw Higgs and Curve go crazy that game. So let's talk about it after the break. I know, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk about it when we get back. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So I wanted to talk about Higgs and Curve. We're game 5, Acorn and Bolts. Congrats, it was sick. We just have to talk about what we just saw out of this last game. Vivid. Higgs and Curve suddenly jump up 10 places. One single
Damn.
game.
Oh.
Vivid.
If Hit and Co freaking made it, but Kid and
eliminations.
Virgin not made it.
I mean, Higgs and
That's a
Kerber
big
just,
fuck
that is a
you
crazy
to
number
Kid
say 18.
and
I'm actually going to say 2 numbers here. I'm going to say 18 eliminations, and then I'm going to say the number 12 eliminations,
Wow.
because 12 eliminations is how many total eliminations these guys had over the course of the first 4 games. They just picked up more eliminations in one game than they had over the course of the first 4 games. Just absolutely crazy. And I mean, me and Blake kind of agreed. When we kind of tune into Curve's POV here, and we saw double-digit elims, both of our jaws were like on the floor. It was like, whoa. What has this guy been up to?
Not only did they double their elims, they doubled their points pretty much in this whole tournament, jumping into 3rd place. Curve was just in a flow state, showing why he's an FNCS champion. That was an insane game to see, Zeke.
How many points, guys? It's like what, 54 points off of if elims, right? So it's like what, 104, but to jump up the way that they did. I cannot believe what an insane game from the duo. Suddenly Higgs and Curve are in the conversation. Something else we have to talk about, Peterbot and Pollo. So like, remember the little crown means Peterbot and Pollo, they already qualified, right? They're already going to EWC. We're playing for prize money right now. Gents, they I don't, you see I am enough insult there. There's a little -3 around their name because Peterbot and Pollo decided we're just gonna land on the 1st place team and we're just gonna shut them out. They spent the entire like early to mid game, Viv, just chasing them, not giving them moments to breathe. The moment that they respawn back and they're reloaded,
So
they
evil.
were on top of them.
So fucking
Yeah, it
evil.
was actually, you can see they're kind of going into the end game here with 5 total eliminations on the side of Peterbot and Pollo. All 5 of them were on enough, by the way. So they just kept farming those points in the early game. Just a rough game for Enough and Salt.
Yeah, and you got to imagine when you're picking your drop spot in these Fortnite tournaments, landing next to Peterbot and Pollo, I don't know if that's the wisest decision. You know, I hope Salt and Enough can bring it back, but they might get bullied the next few games. I'm not gonna lie, Zeke.
Dude, it's so tough, right? How do you stop that onslaught? Listen, it's fine though. We've got 3 games, okay? Remember, Fortnite fam, 3 more games. EWC wraps up, or RES wraps up, because we got to make it to EWC. We got to be top 2 at the end of these 8 games if we want to continue the dream. Right now, games are ready. Lock back in. Let's jump back on the battle bus. Casters, take it away.
We've already had 5 game months. You talk about 3 games left. And honestly, the only team I felt confident going in today is Acorn and Bolts. And there's still that 2nd spot up for grabs. Game 6 is ready. So let's just jump into the action.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Acorn and Bolts, man, really starting to break away from the competition here, showing that they really do have that championship caliber still inside of them. And realistically, they're performing up at the highest level here. Now, Buzz and Sphinx have also played exceptionally well, although they've kind of dabbled here at the Armory. They've gone outside the drop spot. It seems like they have enjoyed returning back here for earning those early fights. And it's working out as they've actually split up here. But look at this, Sphinx finds Peterbot as Muzz finds an elimination there too. So already they have themselves a nice little 2-piece.
Great start for them, and that's kind of one of the things about Muzz and Sphinx. They kind of have placements locked down, especially in the qualifier that they qualified. It's just the lack of overall eliminations in the comparison to some of the other top teams that we have in these games. It's Curve, Higgs, business as usual for them. Higgs just still having those struggles right out of the gates, jumping out of the battle bus, trying to catch his footing. But after that is when he starts to kind of bring things together. Cold and Rapid again. We haven't seen too many of their early game fights and how they do play out, but you're seeing the early aggression coming out from Rapid. Against Chimp on the other side, there is going to be a 2v1 opportunity here. Cold just trying to cut off the other angle, try to stop any options they have as he gets tagged up again with that Mammoth Pistol.
Yeah, Mammoth Pistol is just so deadly. It does so much damage. Really does end up swinging the momentum back in your favor. But take a look at this. Rapid, Cold, finish this one up pretty quickly here. Find themselves a nice little elim there. Set up points here at the Elite Experiments. And I mean, just like that, they're in full control right now. Now, again, they have the zone on top of them, so the reboots going to be a little bit harder to track down with all the teams nearby. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Pollo looking like a repeat performance of the last game after Peterbot got picked back up and sent straight into another duo there. This time, he gets the finish, and off they go.
Back on over to this side of the map. This is kind of what they did in that last game. It was how they ended up clashing against Enough and Salt so many times. But they're going right back on over to that side. This is how Peterbot was able to solidify that elimination. Just boxes Caliper up. No exit strategy. Gets that elimination and sends them right back to the reboot.
Well, let's see how it plays out here for Threats and Visuals now. Just trying to get themselves completely situated here. So far, so good. Single elim onto this team here, setting themselves up. Still in the conversation, right? You know, with 3 games left, 129 points. You saw what a team like Curve and Higgs can do with an 18 elim game, right? Really propel yourself up several positions. If that's nothing else, it should be, you know, a vote of confidence for everyone else to play big or go home. What do you think Peterbot's up to? I think they're just looking to hunt right now.
Yeah, they're waiting for somebody to go down, get rebooted, try to go back deep into the zone to try to find loot. And they're just kind of taking their time doing it. In the last game, the zone kind of worked in their favor over on this side of the map. Unfortunately enough, it is pushing teams further and further away, but he might have spotted somebody else out. Vert, Sales, whether if it's a 2v1 or not, Peterbot's ready to take this opportunity here to try to get a couple more points on the board. Missing game 1, which means they have a little bit of a cushion to try to come back from. But good job from Vert. While him and Sales were under pressure, he was able to shockwave up and turn the tables onto Peterbot, even bringing out the rocket launcher, forcing Peterbot to stay stagnant here for a few extra seconds.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, what was that? It's the little RPG already coming into play here. Meanwhile, Vert gets isolated. Boyo comes for the backup, and already they found themselves an elim there. And an upgrade, if you want to call it that. Do you think they actually take the RPG here this early into the game is the real question. I think Peterbot is going to opt into bringing it with them for the next fight.
Yeah, it's just depending on how much ammo is left. You don't get ammo in the ammo boxes, drop players, anything like that. You really only get the rocket ammo from other crates and drops, which honestly, the way they're playing can't necessarily be too hard as Booga gets found out on the edge of the mountain. This is a crucial fight right now for Booga to try to stay alive. Not sure where Braids is at, but time is definitely needed, and he got just enough time at least. Booga's gonna go down, but at least his teammate is back into the game.
Yeah, they really need this kind of a game right here, right?
Yeah.
Booga and Breeds have fought their way up to like
I
that
know what
top
the
5
speed
range,
is soon, but
in
how?
order for them to close the gap here, they are going to need
Anything
a
can
very,
happen,
very
but
big,
how
consistent round.
kill
Several
and
of them
head
actually
load
to, you know, remain in the
important
conversation.
it.
But as you take a look here,
Buddha
Josh and the Elms are
maybe.
just starting to really heat up here. Kind of go back and
Yeah.
forth. But once they get going, seem to be relatively strong.
Buddha die, I think.
OG
Yeah.
Jack back at it once again here. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We saw them out the last couple rounds. Now they seem to be back in, showing us early glimpses of what we saw in game 1 and 2. And that's the thing with a team like Boji and Jack. You just never really know. Once they're kind of finding their groove, they are going to be a harder team to fight, as is even Neo and Noisy. Look at this. Peterbot, Pollo back at it this time. Out to Agers. Oh, what a monster shot there. Can he get the finish? He does in time. All right, now Pollo has a second guess finish in the fight here.
This is the almost 1 HP left for Agers. Turn the tables on that fight, leaving Pollo by himself. And look at the lack of actual HP. He was stuck eating pizza. He's only getting 5 HP per slice, and he has 6 more in his inventory. So Pollo has to be on the hunt. Bandages, medkits, anything, because these pizza are not going to last him long. And he finds
a little bit of RNG for himself. Gets a nice medkit there. Take a look at Yamzo. Oh no, Booga was already having a hard time. Touches down, they're like, oh great, a drop. Nope, Yamzo's here. They end up pushing them off of that, so no breaks for them here. Meanwhile, Higgs and Curve back at it here, up against Riley and Curly right now. This is a fight we've seen before. I don't think Curly and Rise came out on top before, but we'll see how it ends up playing out.
You know, 3 games left. Rise, Curly, 80 or so points down. from the qualification spot. Not necessarily first place. That's housed by Acorn and Bolt with a much larger lead. But with 3 games left, they have to figure out how to cut that deficit. And right now, the team that they need to go after, it's Higgs and Curve on the other side. If they can get a wipe here and solidify this game into a top 5 with a couple eliminations, they'll start to put themselves within reach. But if they disengage, allow for Higgs and Curve to have another monster game, that's when we might be calling it lights out.
Yeah, most definitely here. Look at this though, Curly finishes up Noisy, but take a look at this. Talk about Peterbot getting finished. Boyo actually ends up getting chased down here as well to the hands of, looks like Sales and Vert. This is revenge because remember they did take down Vert just moments ago here as well, and they seem to be playing hyper aggressive right now. Real question is this replay going to show us Boyo getting fully eliminated before Peterbot hits the touchdown? Let's see it.
I'm trying to count the seconds and the time. Peterbot does drop down, but nowhere in sight for where Poyo is at. He's much closer to where the zone actually is, but he does find access to that mending machine, hits the double patch up, grabs some extra med kits just in case. And he's going to consolidate those pizza slices, so he does have an extra slot there. But you see Sales and Vert, Enough and Salt, Rapid by himself. There's a lot of heavy competition still nearby.
Yeah, definitely. Salt and Enough, man. Having that 40-point lead over second place, now finding themselves trailing behind the leading teams. It's got to be a lot to deal with mentally. With only 2 teams moving on through the competition here for the final spot. They really have to dig deep now with these last 3 games ahead of us. Peterbot, you can see kind of isolated off by himself. Higgs off to the western side as well, but he's got his teammate pretty nearby. Comes Salt and Enough, rotating straight into the new zone. Curly and Rise still back into the mix with these fights here. Last we saw them, it was up against Higgs and Curve. They had no problem handling that battle. They shouldn't have one here and now with Mason's team.
Yeah, just kind of looking at how this game is played out. Curve is now down. Peterbot gets that elimination. Now that Enough and Salt are no longer in first or even top 2, it just seems like the focus has strayed away from them being one of the primary targets for a lot of these teams. Rightfully so. Sometimes you can't just hope and pray Euro's teams inside of the bubble go down. Sometimes you have to be the benefactor of it all. Curve, fresh off the reboot. Higgs is going to be able to disengage, but they have to be careful. Threats and visuals are over on that side of the map as well.
And you can see kind of how it went down here. So Curve is rotating on the outskirts, and oh my gosh, he just gets sat immediately. So there was really no defending against that. And that's how Peterbot gets his elimination there.
Yeah, you kind of seen the feed fight on that side of the map hasn't slowed down. Curve taking down Threats. I believe Threats getting the get back, or I should see visuals onto Curve. So couple solos still rotating around. Braids and Booga, though, making that heads-up play. And this is something we've seen out of Booga in, like, the history of him competing. No matter the season, no matter the meta, he usually either is one of the first teams to rotate his own, or, depending on where it actually pulls, he rotates to the slow side, doesn't want to take too many unnecessary fights, and then makes it into the zone with whatever he has left. Right now, he's really playing the long game rather than the short burst of points through eliminations.
Yeah, as you were saying that, though, I was still looking at the map, and I was actually more surprised that Higgs and Curve didn't just get, like, jumped on with the team that was in the storm there, because they were very close by. Either way, though, already we're approaching that 6th zone, leaning into 7. We're approaching the 7th, so what will happen is, of course, those reboots will get cut off here. You just have to play with what you got.
Tyler, Dozier, both of them going down, which means another team eliminated out of the game. It may not necessarily seem like it, but this game is moving at a more rapid pace than we've seen some of the other games so far. It wasn't until typically zone 10, 11, or even 12 placement points were starting to set in, but we have 16 teams left, all of them fully alive. So with one team needing to go down, placement points might hit this game much earlier than any game we've seen so far today.
It's actually a really good point. This game's moving a lot faster. The duos remaining. A lot of elevation's been at play, though. All of these end games have been honestly pretty tricky, and I guess we could just sum that up to this map type here of the reload mode. So yeah, this is gonna play out, though. Talking about that high ground, this should be a pretty free rotate up and over.
just got to be able to be careful where they land. They can shockwave, they can crash pad. The only safe rotation from that far back is going to be the launch pad with the Fizz. Otherwise, you're essentially flying directly into everybody else here in this lobby. So you got to make sure you play it as close to perfect as possible. Sphinx Muzz in a similar position as Ager's Ritual. I believe I saw Acorn and Bolts not too far away. Muzz is there, and even Noisy and Neo all off the tip top of this mountain.
Yeah, I like this. This is that rotate here. Like we said, it should be really easy for anyone who's got the high ground that goes early. Just have such a huge advantage. It's going to save them so much material as well. So Ager's Rituals will be comfortably positioned here into the end game. I see Pollo still standing over there in the distance. Acorn and Bolts are going to be one of the last ones to go ahead and enter in. Higgs and Curve are still standing as well. Muzz is going to be one of the first to fall on the rotate here. Something's going terribly wrong, and look at how much material Sphinx has got. So you have to imagine that Muzz is falling with quite a serious loadout. So that's the refresher that someone's going to be happy for.
I will say, though, the silver lining, though, for Sphinx is those launch pads with the Fizz. He has at least 2 zones he can bypass by going that high in the sky. It's about when and where he's finally going to get those launch pads off. I think this zone, we're going to see the first of 2. Peterbot and Pollo. Similar strategy, quick to rotate, using the shockwave, hitting the front side of the zone. And we've seen almost everything out of Peterbot and Pollo so far, taking high ground early, using the launch pads, and now here playing on the low ground, trying to control the front side.
Yeah, it's looking very good for them right now, but I'm looking at who's trying to go for high ground. Looks like Higgs and Curve taking that momentum, taking that confidence from the last game, already being one of the first ones to try to position up. They're due for what could be a win. Pollo finds Jack with a quick elimination there off of their next rotate, so it's gonna be big for them. Booga and Braids, though, we keep keeping tabs on them, trying to see what they can do here, but this is the first end game. They actually fall really early, and it's all up to Booga now to play this one out as a solo here and now. Team hot on his heels, though. They don't exactly know where he went. He manages to turn things around. It's actually Josh Niamzo there. A tough spot to be in here when you're in arm's reach of a qualification spot now, but Booga, no stranger to the pressure here, no stranger to being in difficult situations. He's got the experience under his belt. Peterbot and Pollo end up finding Higgs here. It's a huge elim, so Higgs makes the mistake. Instead of playing for that high ground like they were originally about to do, they concede to the building. It ends up not playing out for them.
Yeah, that's second place in the overall. I should say third place in the overall tournament. Second place in terms of EWC spots trying to secure. So that's a huge loss and a lot of pressure being put onto Curve. You see, only has 7 builds left. No extra HP. Down to 1 last shockwave. The silver lining, though, top 15, which means he's starting to get some placement points here for this game. But having to play it perfect with the bare minimum of builds means it's going to be near impossible for him to try to go in and get out without receiving a single scratch. And again, using those shockwaves, he's now fresh out, and even his build's being dwindled down here. Curve needs a miracle, and he needs it now.
That was kind of crazy. He decided not to go up and over this high ground. I wonder if it's going to end up backfiring against him. He will need a refresher here. Now he is hunting for one. Can he find the player to his left? It's actually enough. Who needs it just as much as him? And there's another player in the box here. It's all up to Curve if he can find a shot here. How badly does he want to stay and remain in the lead? Only moments will tell here. Pressure starting to build up. Booga also still standing there on the low ground.
And
Curve's going to be the first
want to
ball, so
watch,
Booga
but you know,
going the
Fortnite.
distance here and now. 198 points. That position is potentially up for grabs, and Booga in a much better spot. Finds a great shot onto Rapid here. Player falls right behind the wall here. He doesn't even recognize that that just occurred. Instead, he wants to get away from danger here. This is a crazy end game as far as like clutches are concerned. Even Agers is still in this one right now.
Yeah, it's just how far can you bring it? Top 10 situation, good chunk of placement points so far. 5 different solos running around. Booga being one of them. 204 points, just trying to close the gap. He doesn't need to get inside of the bubble here, just needs to get close enough. Peterbot and Pollo, they're the ones that started a lot of this chaos, taking down Higgs, leaving Curve by himself. Even though they have their spot secured, they're playing a huge role in who makes it in and who doesn't, putting a lot of that focus next on the threats, forcing him and Visuals down. Agers, Booga still solo on the right-hand side, trying to make it really count here. Top 10 situation. They need at least the top 8 as Booga gets a big elimination, and the siphon, which is not much.
That was so sick. That was actually perfect. He
What
shockwaves
mean
up,
not
no
mu-
mats
oh,
left,
not
breaks
much,
into wood wall there and finds the
it's
refresh
super
to keep him
bad for
in the game.
him.
And that is how you maintain a top 10 here. Booga
Oh.
really fighting for it, then gets the follow-up onto Rapid.
Wait.
And now he is just going off to the races here. Meanwhile, Bolts is still in the game as well. No Elans for him, but he's alive and kicking well. He's on the heels here of Booga. Booga off the plate for the zone. He's got that Blueberry Fizz, but he can't avoid this storm much longer. And there it is. Bolts finishes him off in 6th place, but what a
that maybe
performance from Booga himself.
Yeah, picking up a
that
huge
they
chunk
maybe
of points here.
do
Bolts
the
is able to take
anything
down Sales next.
and they
Vert
don't
going for the
really-
revive, but there's not a lot of time left. He has
Because
to abandon
hit
ship,
in,
keep moving inside of the zone. Meanwhile, Peterbot and
not
Poyo
up with the
not
game,
letting
this game.
anybody climb up their mountain. The
I
only
did Acorn
duo
save.
left in this game, taking a page out of enough and Salt's
And
playbook,
that
looking
was
for the
speeches
back-to-back. Poyo letting Peterbot lead the charge, putting a lot of damage on the Yamato. Just 1 HP in a dream. Visuals still alive as well, but he gets forced out. He's going to have to settle for 3rd place. 2v1 is going to continue
Come on,
for
Peterbot,
Yamato.
walk it.
I wish you good
Walk it,
luck.
you're
No
certain.
AR. Rockets from down below. Peterbot and Poyo pull it off. 8 eliminations and another big win.
Yeah, the limelight, the spotlight was all over Booga there, so we didn't see Peterbot and Poyo really coast their way through the end game victory, but in the end, they had full control of the high ground. They were about due, Jacob, with the way they were playing there, so you gotta appreciate some high-level play. Well, Game 6 for Peterbot and Poyo is now wraps there, Zeke.
This is what I was worried about, MDF. This is why we said way back when that Victory Royale, we're starting to fire on all cylinders. What's crazy, Viv, is they had to make like a comeback, right? They got put in this situation early on in that game where,
I did
you know,
put,
Poyo's having to run for his
in
life
lane
and he's
right now.
solo and Pete has to reload and yet somehow, some way, they pull
If
off
my
a
match was
Victory
put on-
Royale. The moment we see them
if
on
they
Hype
told me
Viv, we
the
know they've
game,
got a
Buddha
rocket
made
launcher
it.
hand. It was like, all right, pack
No
it up and win.
fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, me and Zeke and Blake, we were kind of talking, and it was like, dude, listen, these guys just know what it takes to win. I mean, we kind of saw them trying to land on Acorn and Bolts, who are, of course, in 1st place, because there's only one thing on these guys' mind at all times, and that is the win. And every single time that these guys are behind, whether it be because they missed a game or they just have a couple of bad games, we can just never count them out. And we are always reminded of that whenever these guys are in the server.
And one thing that makes this duo so special is their ability to recover in these games. They were at a point in that game, Peter was knocked, Poyo was 1 HP getting chased by a duo, stalled just long enough for Peter to come back, and they recovered to win the entire game. Not many duos can do that. It's just, I don't know how they do it continuously, tournament after tournament. They're just the best. Nothing else to say about it, Zeke.
Dude, they're so consistent. I don't know how they do it, but they do. We now have 2 games left to go. After this break, we'll take a look at the standings. Remember, we need to be top 2 if we want to make it through to EWC. And there's other players who already have a spot and they're playing for prize money. Oh man, stress is going up to the roof. Fortnite fam, we'll be right back with more Reload Elite Series.